Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome up to another episode of the Drunk Testers podcast. I don't know if there's going to be numbered or not, but I am joined by, as always, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Yo, I am doing freaking good. I am ready for this gauntlet.
Yes. So, for people that maybe don't remember, if you're the audio listener or you're watching us later on or whatever, we just did episode 412. We are back for you guys. It might be weeks, days, years, months, whatever later. For us, it was just moments ago. We are doing our Game of the Generation podcast now, where we're going to rank we have ranked our top 25 games for the last generation. I know my list, obviously. Gables knows his list, but we don't know each other's list. So this is how we always do it. We never tell each other what it is. It's always a fun little surprise for us. So we have rules in place for these Game of the Generation. So last generation in 2013, we did our list Thanksgiving weekend. And we did the Paul. I don't know why I remember that. I just remember us doing during that was the whole point of like, let's just do it during Thanksgiving. So we have the break during Thanksgiving. I just popped my head. But anyways, so when we did that one, we only did PS3, 360, DS, and Wii games. Wii U games that Wii U was out at that point, but we did not allow Wii games. And we're kind of doing the same thing this time around, where 3DS games are allowed this time. Switch games are not, and the cutoff is basically from the Switch launch. So Breath of the Wild not allowed on this current list, essentially. So it's basically just Wii U titles. Even though Breath of the Wild was on Wii U, it's really a Switch game. Come on, let's face it. So we're only counting. That's Breath of the Wild is a Switch game to us in a sense. So it's Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo 3DS games and Vita too, if you have Vita games there, I guess. But I don't know we didn't really make a list, a basic principle for Vita, I guess, last time, so it doesn't really matter. That's kind of how it's working out. We're gonna do. We did a top 25 list, and then we also have 5 honorable mentions. So really a top 30 list. I don't know when we'll get to our honorable mentions, but we'll get to it here eventually. If I I want to probably do it by the time we get to the top 10. So at that point, Gables, if I don't remember to have done it, remind me.
All right.
But we're going to go back and forth. We're going to start from 25 and work our way down. If you guys are listening to the audio version of this, we did this all in one shot. You can watch it all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/drunknerds. Like, follow, subscribe on there. Same thing with our Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Do all those things. Or you can, if maybe you're watching this live right now on twitch.tv/drunknerds podcast. I really appreciate all you guys out there doing that with us right now. Do that. Click the big follow button for us. There's like 4 categories you got to hit to be a you can like basically be a Twitch member kind of thing, where you can like people can subscribe to you. We're hitting 2 of them for sure. The third one we're very close to, and like the third one is you got to average like so many viewers per stream. We're very close to the average, and then you got to have like 50 followers. So that's the big thing we need help with, is the 50 followers. The more followers, obviously, the more viewers we'll have live. So if you guys can help us with that, we really would appreciate it. So maybe one day, not that we care, but it'd be nice. Maybe get a couple bucks out of this. So anyways, here we are. We're going to start the show, start off with our top 20, with our number 25 here. Gables, do you want to start or shall I start?
Honestly, why don't we have you start, Tyler?
Okay. So my number 25 is a game called, it was a PC game initially, but it was a PS Plus game, and it was actually my number like 3 or 4 that year for 2014, the year it came out. It is a game called Outlast. This is for me. Gables looks shocked by that. This is a game for me that like when it came out, like this was the first game like this I've ever played before. And it's funny, like where like it definitely set that standard for me, where I was like, oh man, I love this style. Like you're just walking around with the camera. You can't. It's very dark. You can only basically run. You gotta hide. It's a very creepy ass game. I remember like playing this with like a bunch of people in a PlayStation party chat, and we're all playing through it. Started at the same time, and we're all playing it. A few like I'm screaming. I'm scared. Gables is laughing at us. But it's very fun because like I really like this game. It's like even like Outlast 2, all those like I've tried to play. It's like one of those things where you try to recreate that moment for yourself again, like what you have with this. And it's like I don't know if it's just like I didn't love this genre as much as I thought I would, or like Outlast set that bar so high. Whereas this is a game that came, I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't free, I probably wouldn't have played it. Coming out and just blew me away. I really, really like this game quite a bit. It just sucks like this genre for me has kind of come and go. Where it's like part of it also is there's a million of these that come out every fucking year. These Outlast. I know Outlast was the first to do it. It's definitely nowhere near the last to do it. I mean, like I said, we get a million of them a year. And they all just kind of come and go, and no one gives a shit. It's a very crowded genre. Number 25 for me, Outlast. It was so fucking good. And then Gables run around wearing my waffles and all that fun jazz. So it's a really, really good game. I love it very, very much. Outlast, number 25. Gables, what's your number 25?
Outlast. And you wonder why I had a thing of surprising, like it's like freaking surprise once you said like wait what?
This will never happen again.
That shit.
This happened at 25. It will never happen again for us. Where we have with this, we're gonna have the same game on our list, but never again probably the same number.
No, probably not.
I hope I didn't steal your thunder with the waffles thing, but go on.
Oh no, man! It's like, to piggyback off of your conversation about Outlast and stuff. Yeah, this is definitely one of the first that I've experienced of this type of genre and stuff, where the main thing of this thing is survival, and the whole aspect of it is you are going to investigate like this asylum and stuff, and quintessentially you get like a lot of footage and stuff for those like new casting things. It's like you have to go through the camera, you gotta collect batteries, you gotta do this whole other shit, but you gotta dodge all of these inmates that are just freaking crazy and basically a part of some big old cult and all this other crap. And so you have to go through and you have to escape and do all this other crap, and you gotta go through so much stuff in order to try to survive and this and that. And man, the reason why it's on my top 25 list of the games of the generation is because of the experiences I had, not only with friends, but just from my own personal standings. It's like, during the time I experienced this game, it wasn't through a project of my own. I mean, I didn't really buy it initially. It was because I was on a hotel trip with a bunch of friends. My friend brought his PC along. He started playing this game and stuff, and like him, myself, and another one of his buddies and stuff like that, we were just watching this stuff, and all of a sudden it's like I'm just watching them play, just getting all scared by it. I see one of the dudes, the big old freaking like oh god, the inmate just busts in while they're hiding underneath this like no.
Oh.
Basically, this big old guy just bursts into the door, but this guy is like, he's hiding underneath the mattress, and all of a sudden it's like out of nowhere, and these guys are like just dead scared, just focus on the screen. It's like, where's my huevos? I did it exactly like that, and as soon as I did that, both of them looked at him. It's like they just started laughing their asses off because it's like it fucking fit, and because I usually don't speak too much whenever I'm like on a lot of like these hour trips and stuff, but I just couldn't help but laugh, man, because it's like whenever I have people that are going through watching something scary and this and that, because I understand that you're supposed to be scared and stuff, but there are like specific things that I personally would be scared of in a horror film, but not in case of like a gaming situation, because it's like I've pretty much played plenty of games that have like a horror like theme or element or this or that, but yeah, the experience with my friends, the also experience with you, Tyler, and Jake, and the guys over the party chat for the talking ship, that was hilarious. Especially every few minutes while I'm going through and exploring, trying to find my way around, I just hear Tyler just randomly screaming. All of a sudden, his sister's like, "Tyler, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
That was some fun shit. But I was very impressed once I did go through and initially got a chance to play the game because of PlayStation Plus, how much fun I was actually having in terms of dodging all of these like inmates, going through finding like latches or finding these like type of valves and stuff to turn and stuff. It's a game that I've actually played through once and actually have tried playing through multiple times with that regards, because of how engaging the game is, how fun it can be in regards to reliving certain like story element experiences. And fun fact, I never played the Whistleblower DLC. That's something that I really want to do.
It was okay.
One of these days.
It's okay.
But yeah, that's my number 25.
Nice. Very cool. I mean, I'll laugh if that happens again, to where we both have the same game with the same number. My number 24 is one of the. I'm gonna admit, when looking at this list, you're gonna see a lot of first party games, and you're not gonna see a lot of first party Xbox games on this list. And this is gonna be one of them. A game called Gears 4. I love this game. I think it was 2016. This game came out. It's like I've talked about, like I really enjoyed Gears 1 and 2 back in the day, but it was more of just a fun action romp thing. And it's like, and then Gears 3 came out and told you, like, I'm actually like, kind of really made me invest in these characters a little bit more. Like, I actually give a shit about these characters. And it's like I thought about, like, I think this came out the same time frame as Force Awakens. Maybe it was a year before, maybe a year after Force Awakens. But it gave me that Force Awakens Star Wars game where it's like this like weird, like we're like, there's this new cast of characters, but we're going to bring in the old to kind of like, move you along with these new guys. It's going to kind of help fill in, like, here's these guys you love, but here's some new characters to kind of help you, like, so it makes it easier to enjoy these new characters. Same thing with this, where you had like, I just forgot his name, the goddamn main character of the goddamn Gears games.
Marcus Phoenix.
Marcus Phoenix, thank you. His son JD, jumping in with him, and then Kate. It's just same thing. You have Marcus Phoenix in this group with you, and he's like, it's been years since the end of Gears 3, and like, what the hell's going on with him? What's going on with his wife that died, and him like living in his fucking goddamn tomatoes. It's just like it's a cool. I mean, it's more Gears, which I love Gears, and that's awesome. Like, a couple weeks ago I played Hive Buster. It's like, I just love Gears in general. But then it's like, you add these characters that I give a shit about, and actually a pretty good story in a Gears game, and like introduce these new characters that I actually give a shit about. Like, a kind of a cool story with a kind of building to a cool new bad guy, which is really great. And I just blew me away from like I know I was gonna have fun playing this game. I didn't think I'd give a shit about, like, as much as I did. I thought Gears 3 was as much as I ever be invested in. It's not like it's a fucking greatest story of all time kind of game, but it's just like, oh man, like, I went from like, I'm just playing this game with these characters, they're like, hoorah kind of guys I don't fuck about, to like, oh, these characters are kind of cool, to like Gears 4 is like, and like going into Gears 5 where I'm like, I'm actually invested to like what happens to these. I don't want bad things to happen to these people. Like they've actually like given them personalities and like make you like give a fuck about them. So, number 24 is Gears 4. Gables, what's your number 24? Is it Gears 4?
All right. No.
Okay.
That's in the pipeline one of these days for me to play. However, number 24 is a game that I had played generations ago. However, last year was definitely a revitalized resurgence of it. And I'm talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 2 Remake.
Okay.
This basically gave me more of what I've been wanting for years, and that is more quality Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. None of that 5 shit where they messed everything up. None of the whole, like, Tony Hawk's Ride, nothing of the
no Little Wayne
stupid gimmicks and a fucking, just the unnecessary fluff. Just pure arcade-like fun with different skaters of what I remember, doing different combos, chaining together different types of combo things in order to collect letters, this and that, Vicarious Visions did an excellent job of remastering 2 classic games inside of one big package. So, with this in regards, this is the game this is the remake of a game that I really enjoyed, because not only did I get the element of the nostalgia from the games back then, I felt like they were natural progressive evolutions to what they could be in like the future. So it's like, I enjoyed a lot of the content from the first and the second. They're pretty much the same, give or take, like different tracks, some of which could not return because of licensing issues. Some new musicians and this and that. Some new skaters were added in the mix, but I really did like the aspect that the game in and of itself added back the old skaters from back in the 90s with those those skaters were still relevant and they're still going strong, like Bob Burnquist, Bucky Lasek, like Elissa Steamer, Kareem Campbell, like Jeff Raleigh, and like Andrew Reynolds and stuff. And then you have like some new skaters and stuff. There are plenty of female skaters inside there too, which was fairly surprising to me because I really haven't been in that whole bubble in regards to the whole skaters sort of mindset of that sport, in terms since like basically the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But learning
Jackass
a bit more
days.
about these skaters and then going through a lot of the stuff, it was basically more of what I wanted, and reason why it's so high on my list is because it was something that I had thought that I probably would not ever get again on a modern system. But for the PS4 and Xbox One generation and stuff, here it is. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2, excellent game, great remake, and quite honestly, one of the best games that you could play on that system. So that's my number 24.
Nice. Very cool, Gables. My number 23 is a game that came out in 2017. Very stacked year for games. Game called Evil Within 2. It's funny. I had like I talked about with like, remember playing through Evil Within the first one. It was like at first I didn't like it. It's maybe the guy that made Resident Evil 4. Tequila Games is making it. They're the guys that are making the Ghostwire Tokyo that's coming out later this year. It's like I liked Evil Within 1 a lot. Really, really enjoyed it. Remember playing through pretty much most of that during an Extra Life 1 year and coming back into this one, and just kind of building upon that. Where it's like, it's like they make some changes to it. Where like in the first half of the game is like it's not open world, but it's more of it's an open area where like there's like actually like you're in this town and there's actually like a few blocks of like area you can roam around in, and there's like extra like there's whole like actually really cool like like not really boss fights, but it was like some like these characters like these like there's like a whole like house you gotta sneak through and not get caught by this fucking thing that'll kill you, and just like get like upgrades for your weapon or get a new weapon or whatever, and just so much cool stuff like you can learn like you learn backstories to like what's going on with these characters or like I said upgrades for what you have, and just I think it's Sebastian is the main character's name, and I just really like the changes they made to it. It's like the story isn't like it's doesn't make any goddamn sense. Don't ask like even like at the time like this is 4 years later now I'm talking about this, but it's like at the time I beat that game I'm like I don't understand what the fuck's happening really. I know there's a daughter and there's a wife and blah blah blah. That's all I get. But I mean I'm just there's really cool. It feels like like they brought like that Resident Evil. This is before like Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil even 7 was coming out. And or it was, yes, before all those. But it was like before like Resident Evil kind of revived itself, where it's like you want that. There's that genre that's just empty. Like Dead Space kind of filled that gap for a little while in the previous generation, and it's like here we are in this generation where like that gap, like that horror third person horror genre has not been filled by anybody. And it's like here this game comes in and fills that gap for you, and then like the second half comes in like they just build up these really cool like boss encounters that like very reminiscent of like the old school like Resident Evil games, and like especially like Resident Evil 4 where it's just like they're building up to all this cool, and it's like you never have a obscene amount of ammo, but you always have just enough to get you through a fight. And like the second half like it turns more into like kind of what Evil Within 1 was, where it's more like a linear path. There's some side stuff you can do, but it's like it's not an open area. It's just like you can go through this door and do a couple things over here, or you can just keep going straight down this hallway, I think. But it's like I thought it really did a really good job of building upon itself from Evil Within 1. Definitely had a better budget. Definitely looked better. Like where Evil Within 1 when that game came out, it was definitely like it came out on 360 and PS4 and all that, both generations, but it still looked like it didn't look like a really well done 360 game at that point. And it's like it looked like a mid-generation 360 PS3 genre title, and like this one's like this looks like next gen. This looks really good. There's definitely a bigger budget involved in this, and I'm kind of bummed that we're not getting Evil Within 3. I'd love to have Evil Within 3. Maybe I hope to God we go back to that franchise. I know it didn't sell probably super duper well, but That is my number 23, Gables. Evil Within 2. Evil Within 2. What's your number 23?
All right, so my number 23 is A Way Out.
Oh, okay.
All right, so basically why it's so high on my list is because of the quality of the co-op experience. Obviously, when you and I were both playing this game, we were just going in blind, essentially, because we don't know what to expect in this game. There was a lot of good promise from when it was revealed. There was a lot of cool elements in and of itself, and honestly, it's one of the few quality EA games inside of the PS4, Xbox One, and like Wii U / PC generation, where it's like it's a good experience playing through all the way through, maybe like once or something like that with a friend or a family member or whatsoever, because there's a lot of good co-op elements of it where you're helping each other along and stuff, like the whole sequence where you're both back to back and you have to go through up like this.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Escape.
Yeah.
And of course the little like subsidiary like mini games that are hidden throughout this game that you would not even suspect is in there.
Gables is really good at connect between 3 and 5.
I was literally trolling Tyler when it comes to the whole freaking Connect 4 stuff. That was really funny.
You're such a dick. You're such a dick about it. It's like I know you're winning and you're just fucking with me, but it's like, I was like, oh, maybe he doesn't know he's winning. I don't know. I got you in arm wrestling though. Fun fact: I actually went back because I have them on my personal YouTube channel. I put all those fun clips and I put them on my a while back. Put them on my YouTube channel, and I was watching. I have like the checkers. I have that cool escape the hospital scene, which was like really, I think the highlight of that game was like us jumping back and forth between us trying to escape the hospital. And then there's like the epic 4 fucking minute long arm wrestling competition. That was the one thing I beat you in. And then like
it was the one thing you and I spent like 4 minutes on this mundane thing where it's like 4 minutes like I want to fucking beat you. No, I want to beat you. We're just
it was like 4 minutes of us like smashing the square button, and it was. I thought I was gonna have an aneurysm during this. Like Gables is like laughing hysterically, and I'm like I don't think I took a breath during that. I'm sure there was like veins that I didn't know I had in my forehead, fucking like popping out of my skull. It was something else.
But yeah, that was my number 23 on my list.
Yeah, that's awesome. Minor spoilers. That's gonna be on my list here eventually, as well. Mine. Well, is that? I'm sorry. Was that it for you? That one?
Yes.
Okay. My number 22 is another Bethesda game. After Evil Within 2, it's a game called Wolfenstein 2. I really, really like this game. It's definitely I really remember playing New Order in 2014 as well. 2014 was a good year. So it was 2017 for Bethesda games apparently. Where I just not really caring ever about Wolfenstein. I was always a Doom guy when it comes to like those there's over that Wolfenstein Doom era. I never really. I remember like playing old school Wolfenstein on 360 when they put it on the arcade, and I was like, "Yeah, it's fine, but it's not Doom." And I remember like liking New Order a lot with Blinsky. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like I actually like these are like they're doing a really cool job with these characters and building this world, and it's like I was fascinated by everything, like all the newspaper clippings and all these games, and like going in like just the whole idea of like this alternate reality of like if the Nazis won. Kind of thing. It's like it's very fascinating to me, especially like the science side. And this is obviously like a crazy part where there's giant fucking robot dogs, going around like it's a fantastical version of that, or the Nazis built the nuke first and they nuked New York and all that, and it's just like it's so cool like jumping in and seeing like the things that happen, and it's like just going on with these characters, like they're adding new characters, and like why these characters are like like pissed off, and it's like your girlfriend's pregnant, and it's like I thought the ending was definitely like it drops a little bit on my list because that ending was like very like disappointing. Where it's like I'm having this like epic boss fight, but then I realized I can just after like 45 minutes of like not being able to beat like you just fighting like these enemies. And it's like it's very challenging, but it was just like it's not like a new boss fight. It's just like you're just fighting a wave of these enemies you've seen 1,000 times before already. Kind of thing is like, I can just, that's like 45 minutes not being able to kill them. I realized I can just walk past him and go up a ladder and move on and beat that. That's the end of the game. Like, okay. It's like, I don't know what's more disappointing. Like, that's the final boss fight, or the fact that I can just skip the final boss fight. But I love where it went, where it's like it turned more into like they basically just took like kind of what Doom did before in 2016 did, where it's just like it's fast paced. Like, well, the first one was really, it was like it was a good first person shooter, but it was like more just a basic first person shooter. But what made it more interesting was, you know, the Wolfenstein world of like and these characters they built and the story. But it was like in fact you go to the moon at one point and all that. It's just like it was batshit crazy, but it wasn't the gameplay that made the game so good. And this one, it's like it's like it's fucking Doom gameplay in Wolfenstein, and like that's awesome. And I hope to God we get a Wolfenstein 3 news here soon, because we are due. It's been 4 fucking years. Where the fuck it's at. But yeah, I really, 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 really like this game. If as far as like sequels go, there's not many games I put ahead of it that I'm anticipating more. For games that we know are getting sequels, it's definitely it'd probably be in my top 5 for sure. Like I want a sequel more than anything of, and this is one of them. So yeah, but number 22, Gables, is Wolfenstein 2. What's your number 22, buddy?
All right, number 22 is Gravity Rush.
Oh, okay.
Gravity
Rest in
Rush
peace, Japan Studios. Sorry.
Yes, rest in peace, Japan Studios, indeed, because that company was involved in creating some fantastic games over the years, and one of which is my number 22, Gravity Rush. This is an underrated classic on the PlayStation Vita as well as the PS4, because you can download that thing digitally or get the physical thing on PS4. But the way I experienced it firsthand was through the initial summer. I had a craving to play through PlayStation Vita games, and that was one of the ones that I wanted to play through and experience. Very glad I did so, because the game is more or less like a action-centric type of game where you get to explore this sort of post-dystopian sort of like world, right? But you have this odd mechanic to where you could actually control gravity based upon the powers that you go through, so you can actually manipulate like which place you wanted to go. You can actually explore things like right side up, upside down. The story elements and stuff were alright in that regards. It was a mission structure sort of game as well, so that way you had a couple different missions to try to get a grasp on powers and upgrade into different powers and stuff. Of course, you play as a character, Cat, and stuff that sort of has amnesia and stuff, and try to remember different portions of what she was doing initially. And then you have like this whole epic battle between her and like the main antagonist and stuff like that, who basically has like the same powers as what she has. But I really like the concept of this game in itself, because a lot of the premise of this game I don't hardly ever see, or I before then hadn't really experienced, to where you have a mechanic and you base this entire game around this one mechanic. In this regards was the whole gravity stuff. So you could actually either go through the button aspect or do the touchscreen stuff, to where you can go through and you can touch where you want to go. Cat would zoom automatically to that place. But yeah, it was just going through the motions of not only completing each mission, but also when experiencing what would happen next inside of the story. I really did enjoy what I did play. I actually did beat this game. I didn't go for the platinum or anything, only because I really didn't feel like going on a lot of the rest of the missions, for like the side missions, in order to accomplish a lot of the times. But it's definitely a underrated game that I wish more people would experience, especially its sequel, which, even though the online's gone from that sequel, it's still worth going through and investing some time into. But even if you have a subtle curiousness, if say you're bored of playing something on the PS4, track down Gravity Rush. I believe it's for sale on PSN for about $20. If you want to go through and pick it up on PlayStation Vita, I mean, that's definitely a game that's going up in price in terms of the resale market for the original Vita game. But yes, number 22. What was it, 22?
Yes, 22.
Yes, number 22, Gravity Rush.
Very cool, Gables. Moving on to my number 21 here is the first, I will tell you right now, several PlayStation games, exclusive games. Number 1, number 1, number 21, Until Dawn. It's kind of I it's the same thing almost like with Outlast, where it's not like Outlast was the first and only time I really liked this this kind of genre of games, but like Until Dawn is not the first of these type of games that I enjoyed, but it's definitely I feel like that kind of genre has peaked at, where it's like we've this whole idea of like QTE, quick time events kind of stuff, where like kind of like we've seen before with like Heavy Rain and like what's the Quantum. Not Quantum. What the fuck's the one that came out in 2018? The Heavy Rain guys made.
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, Detroit Become Human. I was thinking Quantum Dreams, which they make. Never mind. I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up studios and games here at this point.
Yeah.
But but like we've seen this kind of genre before, and like I remember like loving Heavy Rain because I was the first I've ever experienced that. And we've seen like since then like. Telltale games kind of do the same idea where it's like it's more story based, but it's like you make decisions, but also you get the QTE stuff to like kind of like the things you do and things you don't do, like really progress the way you do. And it's like moving to this one, like Until Dawn was a game like I remember like that was supposed to be a move game that came like for PS3. It's supposed to be a PS3 move game, and it's like I remember seeing that like at an E3, I think like 2013 or 2014. I'm like I remember like I was just like. Incredibly like why are they still showing this game? Why is it still coming out? Like Move is dead. We're at a new console. It's like like they're like we're reworking it so it works on controller, and it's like wow, okay, this is gonna be terrible. And it's like I remember just renting it from I think it was like GameFly or something like that. And just like I in like a 4-day stretch where I was like I fucking adore this game. Where it's like it's definitely like it is 80s 90s horror movie personified, where it's like it's every stereotype, it's everything you expect from like playing through or watching Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th or like a fucking Scream or whatever. It's like Nightmare or I know what you did last summer kind of. It's like it's all the stereotypes, all the things you expect from it, but it's just like they perfected it with these characters. Like it's like what these characters are. There's the rich girl. There's the there's the slutty girl. There's the jock guy. There's the black guy. There's everything you expect from like. There's the nerdy guy. There's the nerdy girl. It's all like it's like whatever. It's like all the things you expect from like a horror genre movie from like that era to like put into a game, and it's like and it works, and it's like so cool. It's like everybody can die, nobody can die. Whatever. It's just like they fucking nailed it, and it's just I think it's Supermassive Games, the ones that is named the studio, and it's just like I so wish this isn't even like a Sony pony PlayStation fanboy thing. It's talking. This is just like I so wish Sony or PlayStation would just fucking bought this studio after Until Dawn, because it's just like it's so disappointing to see what they've done since with like Last Hope, I think was the game that came out last year. And there was that one that came out the year prior with where like you're on a ship. I can't remember what it's called. And it's just like those games like it's the same style. It's like the same. They have like the same style, same whatever. But it's just like they don't have the budget. They don't have the time because they're trying to make these games. They're trying to churn these out fast or not. They're only a few hours long, and it's just like you see. And I don't know. I feel like it's kind of It's kind of killed this genre for me. Where it's like. Even since then, when I got to play the next Telltale game that comes out after this, or Life is Strange, or like the next Detroit Become Human, whatever, it's like, oh no, we've done this better. And it's like, yeah, maybe it's goofy and it's silly and it's cheesy, but it's like, it's so much more. Like we've actually played like a fun version of these style of games. Like these games can be fun and be interesting at the same time. Where it's like it doesn't have to just be these like overly serious style games where it's like you can make these games more than like you can make these games very fun to play, and Until Dawn I feel like did that, and it's a shame where it's like they made the best game in the genre and everybody suffers since. That's my number 21 though. Until Dawn. Gables, what's yours?
Yeah, just give me one moment.
Gables needs a moment. For you people watching this live on Twitch or YouTube later, he is busy. Oh, is he coming back? I was going to go to... Oh, he's back.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Gables back. What's up, buddy?
All right. So to continue things on, at number 21, the game that I have is a 3DS game by the name of Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. So with that long title, it's a music game by Square Enix. And not just any music game, but a collaboration of Final Fantasy tracks, as well as other classic Square Enix games, like from Final Fantasy Legends to Chrono Trigger and stuff that you could additionally buy through DLC stuff. But the reason why it's on my list to begin with is because of how addicting it was to play this music-based game. Now, a bunch of the listeners know, in terms of music games, I do love my fair share of music games. Especially if it becomes rudimentary to the D-pad and the face buttons and whatsoever. I mean, hell, I've played plenty of it on the Vita, on the PS4, on my 3DS as well. And this is the game I feel like kick-started a lot of my interest inside of those type of music games. Because it's very simple. You use the D-pad in order to do specific actions that are on the screen in regards to matching certain notes, certain pitches, and stuff like that. Same thing applies with the face buttons and whatsoever. But I remember just taking out my 3DS on my lunch break at my old workplace, playing a bit of that game, or just basically before bed, playing through and trying to beat my best scores upon that. From some of my favorite scores through some of Final Fantasy games that I had played through. Final Fantasies 4, 5, 6, and like obviously learning to love a lot of the other ones from later series, like say 7, 8, and 9 and whatsoever. But it was the amount of fun I was having, enjoying a lot of the musical tracks from the Final Fantasy series in and of itself, on top of cranking up the difficulty from like say easy into like the absolute hardest, and then just trying to master all of those tracks. It was definitely a fantastic experience, and this is another one of those underrated games that I wish more people would have played, because they would have found something that was definitely a great experience for what initially could have been like a forgettable game. This was also a sequel to the original like Final Fantasy, like Theatrhythm Final Fantasy, right? And so it's basically more tracks, more accessible things through DLC and stuff than that game. But this game is obviously the more superior version of it. But at number 21, Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call.
Hey guys, so we're just going to stop it right here. This will be first part of a 5-part thing we're doing here with the Game of Generation. So this is why we're having the cutoff oddly right here. But check back next week as we'll have part 2. Thanks guys. Bye.